back, everyone. Welcome back to something we haven't done in quite some time, actually. Welcome back to the CranKy Ducklings review, Star Wars The Bad Batch Season 2, Episode 7. I know it's been a while. It's been a couple of weeks since our coverage of Episode 6. We were just so busy and so bogged down with StarCraft, but now we finally have time to go back into covering some Star Wars. Meanwhile, I'm not alone. I'm going to be joined by fellow CranKy Duckling member, by Kuro.
Hello there.
Yes, hello. But we're here, we're back, and I feel like it was probably a good thing that we took a bit of a break, because once again, it's been happening every now and then here in the season, but comparing the past couple of episodes, like episode 4, 5, and 6, now suddenly jumping to episode 7, big tonal shift. Yes.
And when I mean tonal shift, we're jumping between, this is like a nice kids adventure show, to this is some serious shit kind of.
Yeah. Like bam,
Like
suddenly
obviously,
almost
like it's not like graphic or like, some really like dark tones, but it has like this very like dark atmosphere.
Yeah. And we've been getting a couple of episodes here and there in the season in regards to this. And honestly, once again, I find it really refreshing. I enjoy it. I enjoy these episodes quite a bit, actually. For me personally, I enjoy it, but also I wish we had more of it. Like, I mean, we've already expressed our opinions about the past couple of episodes, and a lot of it has been like filler, right? Like, there's been some straight up like filler episodes. Like, there's been episodes that feel like have not really been hitting the highs we've previously experienced in this very same season, and now suddenly, bam, cut to another part of the world, another part of the universe, another part of the galaxy, specifically for Star Wars, and yeah, it was a nice break from what we've been experiencing so far, for me at least.
Yeah, definitely. It just, the thing is, like, it's just so far from the episodes that we watched previously, because as I said, like, how do I put it? It feels like in this season specifically, the Bad Batch episodes, as in like where the main cast is, are the like, I don't want to say light-hearted episode, but they're just generally the lighter episodes. And then every time we go away from the main cast, that's when the serious stuff happens.
Yeah, it feels like we've been speaking about this actually when it comes to our Final Fantasy 14 coverage, when it comes to its story, but it feels like there are two teams, right? It feels like there's one team or one kind of head writer that's kind of like behind, steering like the group like story, and then separately there's like the clone story, right? It's like, this feels like a continuation to episode 3, which was following Cody, which was following Crosshairs, and things that were completely isolated or completely separate from what was happening with the main cast, right? It's like, bam, you cut to what's happening over with the clones, right? And this feels not quite a continuation, but like it's following that storyline, not with the same characters, of course, but following that storyline and following,
it's
once
following
again
the events.
Yeah, exactly. Once again, seeing the events that are happening with the clones on Coruscant, right?
To the point, I almost want to say that it feels like two separate shows,
Yes.
because of how disconnected the two are.
Yes.
Because it's not just disconnected in terms of like, they're in different places doing different things, but it's disconnected in that tone as well, and in the events that are happening. Like the main cast isn't really aware of all of this is happening, and like they have their own like separate adventures.
Yeah, I feel like I think I said this during episode 3 when we finished it, where like, I wish that this was its own show. Like, I wish that this was its own separate show. But I imagine the reason
100%.
why it isn't is, I think we spoke about this last time as well, is that eventually, like, the only reason why you would do this is because eventually these stories are gonna connect, right? Eventually they're gonna be crossing towards the end of the season, right? Like, eventually it's all gonna converge. That's and it can be messy to have like a separate spin-off show, because then it's like, people watch one show, they don't watch the other show, and then bam, there's like a crossover event at the end. It's messy because like, you don't know what's been happening with these characters and stuff.
But the problem about it is that because the two storylines have been so far away from each other, like, how do you even merge it? Like, that's my entire problem. That's why I'm saying that it should be two separate shows, because this storyline seems
Well,
like completely disconnected, like completely disconnected in tone in the way like things are happening,
mhm,
and then you want to connect this like dark storyline of what is happening in the world with like the happy family kind of thing with like
mhm.
that is happening on the other side, and that will be very difficult to execute.
I would say that I think I'd approach it a different way. And I'd say that I, I imagine that they're going to be connecting these stories, and I can see how it's done, but I don't think they need to. Like I don't know if it's
Yes,
necessary
yes,
for
yes,
them to
I agree.
have this like family group kind of clash and converge with like what's happening with Cody and with Rex and with the other clones.
Like,
I can see how they would do it, but I don't think they
mhm.
need to necessarily.
I think the problem is they kind of have to face what is happening at some point. I just
Mhm.
think that, as you said, they don't need to, and I think it would like. I think there's enough material there to make a separate show just about like the situation, like
Yeah.
separately from the characters.
Or you could argue just save it for like another season, like for season 3 or something,
Yeah, sure.
like because that happens in it happened in Rebels, right? Where like as you progress through a show, characters mature, right? Characters mature, and it makes
True.
sense for this for the tone of the show in its entirety to
Yeah,
change from
that
maybe something
is.
that's maybe a little bit more adventurous to something that's like a little bit more coming of age or a little bit more serious. Like so, it would make sense if this were saved until a little bit later to like tackle these kind of topics.
You know what? You bring a really good point with this because regardless about what I think about Rebels in
Mhm.
season 3, because it was not good.
Mhm.
Whatever. But season 2, the ending of season 2 of Rebels is some of my favorite stuff
Mhm.
because we go from this like, adventure style show with like the crew and stuff, and the tone we end on is, spoilers for those who didn't watch, is Ezra failing everything he was trying to do, and Kanan getting blind because of it, and the last one of the last scenes of the season is Kanan actually consoling Ezra because of what happened,
Yeah.
and that's like one of my favorite scenes of the entire show because that's when it takes like this like, I don't say a darker, but like that's when it takes like the tone down
Mhm.
because they have failed what they were trying to do, kind
Yeah.
of thing.
That's also why
And
season
and
3 is
that's
so
and
bad
that's
because
that
it.
makes sense. What?
That's also why season 3 is so bad because the way that they follow that is yeah
Yeah,
they
the
kind of
follow-up was atrocious. Like there
yeah
was so much they could do, and they
yeah
just decided to do none of it.
we're
But
gonna talk about season 3,
that's why I'm saying
but
I don't want to get into season 3 because I have some strong opinions there.
yeah.
But like the ending of season 2 was one of some of my favorite stuff, and I agree now with what you said
Mhm.
that this kind of like darker episode would make a lot of sense in like season 3 of Bad Batch, where like in season 2 you build up where like now Omega is like an integral part of the group. She's no
Mhm.
longer like like a child that they're trying to like return to her home or so. Like she's integral part of the group, and like she's been learning and actually like I remember like one of the last episodes that we watched was the entire Wookiee episode,
Yeah.
right? Where like she learns about like what other people's lives has been over the past years, and like she's like getting more involved with that, and you have like that progression happen over season 2, and then at season 3 you actually get to the more serious stuff
Yeah.
because she's already had the journey of like learning what the world is.
For sure, for sure. I think I said it a little bit more passing by, but yeah, I think thinking a little bit more on it, as much as I'm loving these episodes, and I do like I personally like I do enjoy these episodes quite a bit. Um, there are some things about these episodes that I don't like, and we can start getting into the episode itself. But we spoke about it for episode 3 as well, where one of my big criticisms is that it feels like this is happening too soon and too quickly, and it would benefit the show if this was saved for a third season because then it would flow a little bit better with the idea of like this whole clone conspiracy or like the idea of like of phasing out clones and replacing them and all this stuff for that to happen a little bit later down the line. I still don't like how it's happening. It feels like it's happening really quickly. It feels like they're rushing.
Yeah, like
It
the
feels like
transition is too soon.
yeah, it feels like they're rushing through it too fast. Whereas I feel like this deserves time. It like this whole
Yeah.
these events that are happening, I feel like they need to breathe and you need to flesh them out a little bit more and spend more time with them. And I don't like that it's happening here in season 2, because season 1, the end, like season 1 ends like as like episode 3 ends, basically, right? Like not quite, but like, you know, like season 1 concludes with like with Order 66,
months, you know?
yeah, with Order 66 occurring and that big change happening and all that occurring, which is like right post episode 3, right? And then suddenly, and we have like a massive amount of time to work with between episode 3 and episode 4, right? But where you can take your time with this like transition away from clone troopers and stuff, but it feels like we're rushing through everything, and that is something that I really don't like.
I feel like it should be something that would take like, you know, a few years, where like it instead it feels like it's been like a month and like it's just going past it, you know, kind of thing.
Yeah, exactly.
Like I agree. It does feel like the things in the world are progressing a bit too fast.
Yeah, and that's why saving this for a third season, the other benefit there is that, again, you're allowing for more time to pass, and then maybe you can focus the whole season, not just a couple of episodes here and there, but the whole season on what's happening here. The way that I would do it is that you have this season which focuses on the group growing and forming together and stuff, and then either you have these episodes at the very end and then you have that tonal shift, or you save it for the next season, and you might even just start next season and have like the first half purely be this, and then as almost like a catch up of like what's been happening, you know, while the Bad Batch have been having their adventures and stuff, what's been going on in the meantime, and then like halfway through the season then have them also kind of come in and then then continue the story there.
I don't know if I would say argue, but like I could see like episode 3 being part of this season, like just because it's like it still seems like it's fairly early on. Like it's like, you know, some people are just not okay with what has been happening. It's like I feel like these kinds of episodes would make sense where clones are still actively part of the army, and like, you know, some weird stuff is happening. They're not sure about the decisions that are being made, and like just sprinkle that in throughout the season. And then like get into this kind of like episodes that are more about like the general situations in season 3.
Well, that would have only worked if Cody didn't leave at the end of episode 3. Remember, that was my big criticism, is that Cody left right at the end of episode 3, and it's like, this is happening too quickly. Like, it would make sense if we spoke about it before, but that he would stay on, and then over time, over the season, then he leaves, and you get to flesh out the idea of like of clones as a whole, like having a conscience and being conflicted about what's going on.
See, on one hand, that's true. On the other hand, it's also like that's kind of like the whole point of the scene, that like that was like a step too far for Cody, and like where like this was like such a strong experience to him that he just decided to quit.
We'll save that experience for later then.
I guess so.
You can take your time and build up to that and have that moment where he leaves, but like again, like I would want more time exploring this side of things.
You know what, you're right. The episode 3 should be like second last episode of the season.
Yeah.
Where like you kind of like, you know, you follow the adventures of like the main cast, and then you get like an update on Crosshairs.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
That's the episode.
Yeah. Like that's how you do it. But again, it's like they're like just once again I'm enjoying we're enjoying these episodes, but once again, like it feels like we're not just that we're rushing through things, but because it feels like we're rushing through things, it feels like we're wasting like potentially a good story that can be told, and potentially like really good stories that can be told, exploring all of the clones and all this stuff. Like, this is something that I'm enjoying, and I would want more of this, but it feels like we're kind of like, again, speed running through everything. It's like, like it's a bit of a shame. I'd like to delve more into what's happening here, and let it breathe and have it not stand out with the rest of the show, because right now it is standing out from the rest of the show as well, which isn't the best thing to do, right?
Hey, don't worry. As we learned in Ahsoka, time in Star Wars doesn't matter.
True.
So, you know, next episode they're gonna tell us that it's been like 5 years. You know, Omega is like 20 now.
True. Oh, God,
actually no, she's actually 11. She aged backwards.
You know, I completely forgot about I had wiped Ahsoka from my memory because, you know, it doesn't deserve any space in there. But
it doesn't. Yeah. But I distinctly remember
just reminded me about the regression of
the
characters.
Time doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Yeah, like the characters just age. However, the writers decide them to
They don't
age.
age. That's the thing. They
No, some of
regress.
them get old, but they just get old.
Yeah.
You know.
Anyway, so this was episode 7. Episode 7 of The Bad Batch. It was, of course, directed by Nathaniel Villanueva, who has directed other episodes already. He's actually maybe one of the most common directors in this season. So it feels like they throw him on for a bunch of different episodes. Some of the more lighthearted, like team episodes, and others as well. He directed Ruins of War, which was episode 2. And he also directed Entombed, which was the filler episode as well. So he's been directing a bit of everything. But the writer was unique. The writer, this is his first time writing for the show, Ezra Nachman. So first time writing for the show, and he does write later in season 3.
He's called Ezra.
He is.
Yay!
As Ezra comes on to
It's
show them
actually
how it's
Ezra
done.
himself. He just changed his surname.
True. So Ezra, this is his first time writing for this show, and he also eventually will write for some future episodes in season 3 as well. And we've been talking around the subject here, but this is the episode of the Clone Conspiracy, and it does take a break from the main cast of the Bad Batch, and it does take us over to Coruscant to follow what's happening with the clones and some more like political and more, again, darker aspect of kind of what's going on behind things surrounding the clones, outside of just, again, the main group. Specifically, we find out that it can happen off screen, but Camino has been destroyed. The planet is still there, but apparently all the cities were wiped out. And
that didn't happen off screen. That was the ending of season 1.
all right, true. Ending of season 1. So, but not shown here. But we get a little bit of aftermath of that. So the Camino gets destroyed, and basically a bunch of the clones that were a part of that are, of course, second guessing themselves. We kind of got a bit of this previously with Cody, and this is the main crux as to why it is clones are being phased out. It's kind of weird. So this is the issue with Star Wars, is that a bunch of like story decisions were made by George Lucas and co many years ago, and they have to try to like Frankenstein it to make it work. We know that clones, they're not stormtroopers in the future, right? For the original trilogy, we know that they have to be removed in some way, shape, or form. They did it previously in the original canon. Now that's Legends. Now this is a new story, like a new interpretation as to how we're getting rid of these clone troopers. And what they're doing here is, originally I was going to say that it doesn't make any sense to get rid of clone troopers if they're like, if they're hardwired into following orders, but they're trying to say that now there's like quote unquote like malfunctioning going on, and clones, they're not machines, right? They have a conscience, right? They have morality of some sort, and a lot of clones are conflicted about what it is they're doing, and
specifically
they're not really there.
Specifically, they mentioned that like the clones don't question like Order 66 and stuff. Like that's not what's happening, but they do question the decision to destroy Camino because that was their home. So like that's when it was weird to them that they had to destroy their own home.
Well, not just that, but also to kill like innocent people as well, right? That was the Cody thing. Like for the Cody thing, like they were
but that was specific for Cody, and I mean like the general populace of clones seems to be more discussing Camino.
Yeah, Camino, but also like the idea that they're being told to do things that don't seem right to them, right? Like they're following these orders, but like they're getting these mixed signals. That's why previously in episode, I think it was in episode 2, where you had like the clone trooper that was you had the leader, the general, that was telling him to like lie in his report, and the clone trooper was like, that's not what we do, and then he got killed, right? Like there's like all these conflicts like that are going on. And this is kind of like being pushed as one of the reasons why the Empire wants to get rid of them, because maybe they're a little bit too good at what they do. It reminds me a little bit actually of iRobot. Do you remember iRobot? We watched that a while ago. Remember how there was like the original phase of it's a Will Smith movie of there were like the N4s, I think it was. It was the N4s that were the original like robots, and they were hardwired to like protect humans and stuff like that. And they were being phased out by this like newer model that they can like bypass that, and then that they ended up fighting each other, if you recall.
Mm-hmm.
in the scene there. It reminds me a little bit of that, where like you have like it's the way that the clones work don't really mesh well with like the new regime, right, with the Empire and
Mm-hmm.
what they're trying to accomplish. And they want to slowly try to phase them out, and we're focusing on the clones here in their attempt to, I guess, not even revolt. They try to escape more than anything. They try to survive like this kind of environment and get out
Yeah.
of it.
Yeah, I'm like thinking, like, to be fair, like the clones seem to want to fight or leave. So like I guess technically it's danger to the Empire if they like, rebel against the Empire, but I don't know if that's what they want to do, to be fair.
Yeah, that I think that's the one of the weirder things here is that I guess we don't really know what Rex is doing. I was surprised that they revealed spoilers, I guess. We're jumping ahead a little bit, but Rex is revealed here to be saving clones and helping them escape. You get the
Hmm.
impression that maybe that's how Cody escaped as well. Maybe Cody got in contact with Rex
Hmm.
and Rex helped him get away as well. I thought it was going to be Cody. I thought they were going to hold on to Rex a little bit longer, and I thought it was going to be
Hmm.
Cody who was, because he was the original trooper to like to defect, that he was going to be there like helping other clones get out, but no, they revealed Rex here instead.
Yeah, I mean, I wasn't surprised that it was Rex, just because we've been hearing mentions of Rex a lot, so
Mm-hmm.
it made sense to me that they would bring him up just to show what he's up to.
Mm-hmm.
The thing is, I still don't know what he's up to.
Yeah, that's
Like,
that
that,
right.
that
Like
has not been answered.
that's what I mean. Where we don't know if they're gonna try to revolt. I don't know if they have reason to right now, or try to just escape and live out their lives. It's really weird because they're framing it in such a way that like they're all getting old. Like they're all getting old, and
Yeah, and
they're not
that's what I was.
soldiers anymore.
That's that's why I'm talking about the time, the
Mm-hmm.
time mix up, because it does not feel right that the clones would get old within a year,
Yeah.
where like we had examples before of clones not getting old within like the timeline just does not match for me about clones getting old, and like how long they would normally serve
Yeah.
before.
Well, like, so what doesn't mesh up, one is that Rex and Cody, they're like one of the first generation of clones. So
Yeah,
they'll
the
be
generation one.
yeah, so they'll be the oldest ones. One, two, we see Rex later in Rebels, many years later, and even then he's still fighting, right? Like he's still like
He's
even then
old, but he's
he
fighting.
is old. Yes, he's definitely older in Rebels, but he's still a fighter. So you
Mhm.
don't get the impression that like they're gonna quickly like wither and die or something. Like clearly
Yeah,
many
like
years
just like
later,
gonna
like they're
get like
still,
crippled or
yeah, they're
something.
still able-bodied, right? So like
Hmm.
there's a weird disconnect here where they're trying, where they're even showing some of these clone troopers that visually look older than
Look
Rex.
old.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
And it's like,
that's exactly what I was saying. That like it
yeah,
doesn't make sense, because in the same episode you have clones
hmm,
in the bar who look old,
yeah,
and then you have Rex who's generation one and he
yeah,
looks fine.
yeah. So
Unless
uh,
you're telling me that this specific clone in the bar is like a heavy chain smoker,
yeah,
and he just ruined his life in that bar.
yeah.
I mean, it's
So
possible. Look.
and that's what I mean when I say that it feels like they're speed running through this, because this is something that would typically happen later down the line, not
Yeah.
immediately, in the first year of
Yeah,
the rule of the
exactly.
empire and the rise of the empire. The idea of clones getting old and aging out shouldn't be something that's brought up until much later, right? It shouldn't be brought up
Yeah.
when it comes to the Senate, and when it comes to leadership. It shouldn't be at the forefront of your minds until much later.
Like
So
again, if Rex and Cody are perfectly fine, that means like that the aging isn't that fast,
mhm.
as opposed to what we're being told here.
Yeah. So there is a weird disconnect that doesn't make much sense here, which is, yeah, which makes it feel like it's intentional, that they want to kind of they want to speed run it, like they just want to move
Mm.
on, right? Which is a shame, like which is a shame if that's the rationale for that, because one, it doesn't make sense logically when you think about it when you're watching the show, but two, like it's a shame because like I feel like this is like ripe for content, this era
Yeah,
of
it's
Star
like wasting the
Wars.
potential for that.
Exactly, for sure.
Well,
um
also speaking of, I'm trying to like figure out words for it not to sound really mean and offensive.
mhm.
But you're telling me
Uh-huh.
that the Senate, let's call it the Senate,
Uh-huh.
because whatever the governing body is,
Hmm.
the Senate was like, shit, we're at war. We need soldiers, but we don't want to use our populace. We don't want to use droids because that's what we're fighting against. Okay, we do clones. We do clones. Okay, they do clones because they clones,
Mm.
we don't have to worry about them because it's not our citizens, it's just clones. And now, like, fast forward a few years later, like, we need to take care of clones because they're our soldiers. I'm like, I thought the entire point of getting clones was that they're not your citizens. So you don't have to worry about, like, what happens to them after,
Mm-hmm.
kind of. Like,
Yeah.
there was a bit of a disconnect with that idea. Like, I understand why that would happen. Like, I do agree that the clones deserve respect. It
Mm.
just feels a little weird that the Senate came with that up after commissioning clones specifically to not use their
Well,
citizens.
this is why like we're skipping some steps and we're speedrunning, because the idea of like clone rights hasn't fully
Yeah,
been addressed
exactly.
yet, and that's the first step, right? The first step would be getting like clone rights and having them, you know, start be phased out of the military and start their own lives because they don't need to be in the military anymore, right? That'd be
Mhm.
a cleaner story that would be told. Instead would be that the empire takes over, the empire starts ruling everything, and then they don't need a military anymore. And so and then you end up in a really weird situation that you have to think about, where it's like you have all these clones that were bred for war, and now there is no
Mhm.
war, and now what the hell do they do, right? Like, and that tackles like a very real like issue
Yeah,
when it comes to like
exactly.
current day, when it comes to veterans, right? Veterans that come back from war, who spend their lives serving their countries, and they come back and they have no skills to kind of go back into like a regular workforce, and maybe they're like on they mention the word pension here, for example, like they mention
Mhm.
it, but like that's something interesting and difficult to explore, of course, but like we're kind of like rushing past all of that, and even before that
Yeah, it
step
just
as
feels
well, we even have a couple. We even have like I want to say a lot of clones that don't even go by names. Like they still say like their identification codes and stuff because they're like
yeah.
barcodes, right? Like we
Yeah.
we we got to take those steps first of like even
But
making
yeah,
them like
that's
proper
kind of what I
people.
mean. That like, from the perspective of the Senate, they just
Hmm.
went from not caring about these people to suddenly wanting to like take care of them.
Hmm.
Like,
Hmm.
even though I understand that it's like specific senators that say that, but yeah, this just feels like a bit of a jump where
Yeah.
before they were fine with making the clones,
Mhm.
and now they're like, oh shit, we have to do something with the clones.
Yeah. There needed to have been some progression to get to that point first before you start kind of talking about having these kind of discussions. Like as you said, like there's a
Also,
weird jump here.
I agree with what you said. Actually, now that you mention it, again, this goes back to the timeline not being
Mhm.
matching up. Their argument for getting conscripts is because the Outer Rim is in danger, but they have this entire like squadrons of able-bodied clones, and they're like,
Mhm.
no, 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 we can't use those. They're getting old. I'm like,
Mhm.
they
Yeah, it doesn't
shouldn't
make it.
be.
Yeah, it doesn't make any
Like
sense.
that sounds like a flaw in the design or something.
Yeah,
Like
it doesn't.
that wasn't a thing before.
Mhm.
Like that sounds like a defect. Like, do you have like a defective like the squadron of clones? Like I don't know. Like it sounds, it doesn't match up for me with what we already know from before.
Yeah. Like there is a weird like kind of disconnect that's going on here. Um. Yeah. It's just messy. It's just messy storytelling because it's a messy story that they have to try to patch together. I mean, that's what Clone Wars and
True.
Rebels have been doing. But I agree that like that doesn't excuse how they're doing it though, because it can be done
Yeah.
better here. It can be done better, and
Again, that's why a separate show for this kind
mhm,
of story would make sense, because then you could have that progression. You wouldn't have to
mhm.
like just skip forward to the next event, next event, next event kind of thing.
Yeah. Especially because the reality is that we've had a literal filler. We could have gotten rid of some of these episodes, okay, and we could.
Yeah, we could get rid of the treasure hunting episode and
Yeah,
instead have like
yeah,
a yeah, true.
yeah,
True.
yeah. Look, Entombed was a big low for the show. Okay, it was like Entombed was the treasure hunting episode. But but yeah. So again, we're kind of like jumping ahead, speedrunning ahead when it comes to some of the progression of what's been going on. When it comes to the episode itself, so getting into a little bit here, we have a senator. We have a new senator that's been introduced, new character,
Mm.
Senator
By
Chuchi.
the way,
Uh huh.
Yeah, they say her name several times, and each time it sounds completely different. And also for me, she's Senator Chichi.
She's Senator Chi-Chi. Yes, yes. I felt initially I thought it was really weird because I was like, is that just Omega like wearing blue paints? Like, what's going on? Like she
Yes,
sounds
she
like
looks just like
she has like a
she
Kiwi
no,
accent
she
and she looks like Omega. I
yes,
was like, what?
she looks like Omega and she sounds like Omega. I'm
Yeah.
like, is this supposed to be Omega's mother or
Yes,
something?
I was like, is Omega in blueface right now? What's going on? And then I quickly looked it up, and no, it's a different. It is a different voice. First, I had to check it was the same voice actor. It's a different voice actor entirely, which surprised me. But it was a really weird visual choice, right? Because she looks like
I
Omega
mean,
as well, and she
okay,
sounds
although
like her.
it's two things. Firstly, she looks like Omega,
Yeah,
but secondly, she sounds like Omega,
yeah,
and
yeah.
like that's important part
Hmm.
because the clones are
Hmm.
supposed to be Kiwi,
Yeah,
and why is she
yeah.
Kiwi?
It's weird. I don't
Like,
know
what is the
why.
connection there?
I don't know. I don't know. It's a really weird choice. It's a weird choice. Doesn't make much sense. But that did strike me immediately as well. It struck me immediately. I was like, I was like, what's
The
going
the
on?
accent is very recognizable.
It's a
Like,
very.
look, I said it before. Like, I don't normally like can I normally can't tell as much on the clones. Like, they have like yeah, they speak with an accent, okay. Like, I don't mind it.
Mhm.
But on Omega, I know immediately. Like, she's Kiwi. Okay,
Yeah,
I
yeah,
can put it. This is Kiwi.
yeah,
This is the same with her. Like, some words that she said, I'm like, okay, this is Kiwi.
yeah, yeah.
Like, it's very very strong and distinct.
Hmm.
So it's not a coincidence.
Yeah, and it's just really weird that they made the decision to do that. Like I'm referring to like the writer, director, the lead of the show, because it sounds weird that they're like, you know what, we need to have a clone trooper sympathizer. We're gonna make them sound like the clones because they're also in New Zealand. It's like what? It's like if
Yeah,
it
that
feels like
makes
a
no
really
sense.
feels like a really shallow reason to do that. It feels
Yeah.
very like very
And
on the
again,
nose.
especially because like this galaxy is big, like you
Yeah.
would have all kinds of different accents. So for Harry to have specifically the same one
Hmm.
is very suspicious.
Yeah, yeah. It's
At first, I genuinely at first I thought she is Kaminoan, but like
yeah.
just not of the same race.
Mhm.
That like she's somehow directly related to Camino, but
Mhm.
from the way she speaks about Camino, it doesn't seem to be the case.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. She just has the accent. It's weird. So she's like advocating for clones and clones' rights and looking after clone troopers when they retire or as they're phased out. You get a little bit of tension in the Senate. Something that we already knew from episode 3 is that the God, he has a certain name. It's like the Speaker of the House. That's not the Emperor. The big blue guy. The big blue guy. Like he's in on it. I don't think they've explained exactly why, but like he's like obviously they show it here, and this was known ahead of time as well. That like when the Emperor took over, he was like, no, yeah, sure, okay, and he just went along with it. I don't know if in the new canon they've explained as to why that is and what's going on there, as to why he's fine with what the Emperor is doing, if he's just doing it just to
You
do it,
mean
or what his
no, like
intentions are, or
it's more that he's okay with like it's why he's siding with him because it's one thing to
hmm
be okay with it and another thing where he himself like if you remember that scene in the corridor he
hmm
himself is lecturing the guy that like oh this will be your problem like I thought we can do this like without trouble without obstacle which means that he's above him in the
yeah.
hierarchy.
Yeah, exactly. So I don't know if they've explained that in the new canon. They did in the old canon, 100%, but I don't know if they've done it in the new canon. So I don't. But I bring it up just because like he's very front and center in this episode, and again, like in like Clone Wars and Rebels and in the movies and stuff, like they haven't addressed it. They might have addressed it like in the comics or in some of the books. But yeah, so I don't know where the new canon is with the Speaker guy. But yeah, like he's covering for the Emperor, and they're kind of going through the Senate proceedings. There's apparently General Rampart who is covering up what's going on and ordering the assassination of the clones that are trying to speak up and speak out about what's happening. We didn't really get to talk about much of the episode yet, but what I loved actually, the first scene, I loved the first scene of the episode. Talking about the episode itself, there was something very subtle, but you should know what I'm about to say because like every time it happens, I bring it up and I love it. Is when they're talking, the two clones, it's Slip and Conrad? No, Slip and starts with a C. But regardless,
Yeah, something with shorter, like Con or something. I don't know.
yeah. But he's the first one that dies, right? He's like freaking out. He wants to go public, and he gets shot. He gets sniped. I love that he gets shot. He gets sniped. He falls to the ground. You have Slip, who like jumps behind the speeders to avoid the shots. And then he crawls over and he checks his pulse. Like I love that. I love it's so like minuscule in the grand scheme of the episode, but I love that they took the time to animate him avoiding shots and actually going to check on his friend to see if he was still alive before going back into like action stuff like that. Like it was very small, but I brought this up last time and I still say it. Whenever they show the clones being competent, I love it. It's great. It was good.
See, here's the thing, because I wanted to mention something about a later scene, and because you brought this up, I cannot help but mention this now. When Sleep gets shot, he gets shot in the shoulder.
Yeah.
And then Rex finds the senator and says, like, Sleep is dead. He's dead. He's just lying dead today. I'm like, he got shot in the shoulder. He can walk it off, probably.
He got shot in the shoulder, and the issue, because you're going through, the issue is that Chi-Chi's guard, when he was opening the door and when they were going into the factory, he also got shot in the shoulder, and he kept going.
Yes.
He got shot in the same place. It was the same spot as well, in the shoulder.
Armor though. He didn't have armor.
True.
Sleep didn't have armor.
You don't know.
So I will let
he could have had like a
slide on that.
Look, if you're fearing for your life and if you're like in the military, then I would expect like some military like bulletproof like armor underneath the shirt. Okay, like he could still be out there alive. By the way.
Good, but regardless, even if he had even if the shot went like straight through his shoulder and came out.
What you're saying is that unlike him, who checked the pulse of his friend, she didn't. So she doesn't know.
Nobody checked on the other guy, and I understand she didn't because she was running for her own life.
Yeah.
But after Rex has neutralized the other guy, they should have come back. Right?
You wouldn't say such a strong statement that he's dead. You'd say that he got shot. I don't know what happened to him or something because you don't know.
Yeah.
You don't know. You don't know what the hell's going on. He could be alive. He could be bleeding out right now.
I think he's dead.
He could be bleeding out right now, waiting for you to call the hospital, and you don't call the hospital because you just think he's dead.
Listen,
you know, like
she could have said, "I think he's dead" or something, or like whatever, and Rex could be the one to check because Rex isn't afraid. Because it makes sense that she would hide, but Rex could just do it.
Yeah.
That's my point. Like I understand her not doing that because whatever, she is running, but Rex would do it.
What you're saying is that you have him say like, I got a place we can take. We can go somewhere a little bit more discreet. They walk away, pans over to Slip on the ground. He's like bleeding out. He's like, help.
It's like crawling.
It's like
Rex, I'm the one who called you, not her.
He's like, where's Rex? God damn it! He's just waiting to be picked up. Smooch.
Yeah, that's. I'm sorry, but that's my headcanon now. Like the guy is just bleeding out there on the street because they just left him.
Yeah, just left him to die.
Like I genuinely was upset when. Okay, since we are talking about this anyway, because I was only gonna talk about Sleep, but since we're talking about anyway, you have the scene. Sleep gets shot, right? Okay, he got shot in the shoulder. We talked about it. Ridiculous, whatever. He's laying on the ground. The other guard gets shot, goes to the ground. I'm like, okay, I guess, well, that guy is dead. Fair enough. Maybe not. Whatever. She runs away with the second guard, which, by the way, I want to give credit. They made him look quite competent.
Yeah.
Like, for a guard, he looked good. Like, not the entire way. Like, he did make.
But he's a guard. Stuff, but like, okay, he's a guard. Like, what do you want from him? Okay.
No, but he did well. He did well, and she didn't argue either. Like, she was like, okay, like this is what he told me to do, and she does it.
Yeah.
The problem starts where they get into the factory, whatever building, with all the mist. And then he's like, okay, I'm going to throw the fire. You run for the door, right? And then he runs away. She runs to the door. Whatever happens. We don't know. We don't see anything because of fog. And then the next thing we see is Rex finding the senator. And she says, Sleep is dead. Both of my guards are dead. They're all dead. Don't worry about them. They're dead. I'm like, you haven't even seen what happened. Like the guard is standing right there, 2 steps next to you and like looking at you, and you just said he's dead. Like you literally can't see him.
Yeah. It was it was a little bit weird and it stood out that you wouldn't check on them first. Even if there's, you can still make it that they're all dead, by the way, but like just just have some of
Yeah,
that, have
but
some
you
of that
would confirm
confirmation or
that.
something. Yeah. For
Especially
sure.
after the danger is gone, because if they were just running, they're like, oh, they're down, and like we have to escape as soon as possible.
Mhm.
That's a different situation. But the threat has been neutralized.
Mhm. When it comes to the episode itself, so again, so we have Slip, who his friend was the one originally that was trying to go public with what was going on. He was a little bit more conflicted about it, like whether they should keep their head down or not. His friend dies, then he that motivates him to want to be a little bit more active about it because his friend just died, right? They have these scenes that we mentioned previously about the sender, how she goes to them. She's talking about how she wants to help the troopers, and they have to think about what happens when they can't fight anymore, which again is accelerated because they shouldn't be in this kind of position to begin with, but whatever. Like in the story, like now suddenly like they're faced with the problem of retirement, of post war, of post military service, and what they're going to do with their lives and what they're going to do. And she's trying to find something for them. She's trying to help them in some way. You get a scene with Ramparts about how he's talking to the speaker of the house about how he's like, no, yeah, I'll give them what they want, just leave us alone, because he plans to get rid of the clones before any of that actually makes it through the Senate. We don't really know what the plan is, but he plans to get rid of them, either to kill them, hunt them down, send them on a suicide mission, something. He plans to do something. We don't exactly know what, but we get some
To be
some
fair,
crumbs of that, from my
to be
understanding.
fair, that's not exactly what he said. Like he just said that, like, oh, he will agree on whatever supplies they ask, but before the supplies reach them, like he will pass the other bill, which is all he really cares about.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. But he'll have to like find a way to do that, and then you have the speaker
Yeah, but that would
telling
be
it.
like after.
Yeah, and you have the speaker telling him that as well. He's like, hey, like like if you're planning to do this, make sure you can do it. Like make sure you can pass it before this other stuff like comes into play, and all this other stuff
Mhm.
like impacts like what's going on. Something that I did like, there's like an assassin, there's like a bounty hunter assassin that's like killing the
Mhm.
clones. I was really concerned throughout the entire episode that they were going to make it Crosshairs. I didn't want it to be Crosshairs because the sniper was incompetent. Like, what he was
See,
killing his targets, but
exactly.
there was like a lot of missing that was going on, and I was like, they better not make this Crosshairs because
Exactly.
he keeps missing. Like, he would not miss. So like, I was concerned that they would, despite the fact that he
Yeah,
kept
when
missing, I was concerned that they were going to make him Crosshairs. So I was glad that they didn't. I was glad that they
yeah,
just
when
made it
they
like nameless trooper.
when they showed this sniper the first time,
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, oh, are they putting crosshairs? And I'm like, no, the other guy is still alive. This is not crosshairs. Like they
Yeah.
would both be dead by now.
Exactly. That was going through my mind,
Yeah.
but I was going about it the other way, where I'm like, I was concerned that they were going to still make him crosshairs and just make him miss all the time, which wouldn't make any sense.
No,
Like,
to me it was like, no, it can be. Like
yeah.
they built him up so much, this just can't be him.
Oh, I would say it can be if they're bad writers. Like that's the issue that I had. If it's like if we have like
See,
a
I
bad
had
writer here,
enough
then
trust. I had enough trust that they
ah,
would not do that after everything they've done.
my faith was faltering. So I breathed a big sigh of relief when they opened his face and it was not crosshairs. I was like, thank God, thank God they did not do that. And it was just some other guy. And yeah,
Okay,
and
question.
hmm?
Since we reached that point of the episode, what do you think about the senator confronting Rampart?
um, it's so I would say that the issue. I mentioned it earlier how personally I would want all of this to breathe. I'd want them to set up the center. I'd want them to set up all the centers a little bit more,
Mhm.
of course, and give them some room to show us kind of like them be effective or them in action and things of that nature. Obviously, like the way that they're portraying it here is that she feels very naive, very young, um,
Yes.
very naive, and kind of in over her own head a little bit here.
Yes.
Um, which is why
But
I would have preferred if they had set her up as a character earlier, just to show that she can do her job and show that like she's competent in her own way and effective in her own way as well before this, because this makes it right now the vibe that you get is that this is like a young, inexperienced, naive senator who's trying to do the
yes, like an
quote-unquote right thing.
idealist.
Yeah, she's an idealist who's in over her head and she doesn't even know what the hell she's getting herself into, and because of that you don't really believe that she's very effective in what she does, or she can really
Yeah,
help in any
she's
which way, or she
capable.
has or she's capable, or she has any kind of power or sway in the Senate. Because this is all that we've seen from her, you have very little faith and very little trust, and you don't think much of this character, unfortunately, which is why like ideally you want to set up a character like this, or just use Jimmy Smith. Use Senator Organa, use him instead, because he has that rapport, he has that kind of he already has
Uh,
that lore around him, so you can take that a different route. To use
well,
this character, I feel like you need to build them up first before you do something like this.
they cannot really use Organa just because he's supposed to be more hidden.
Mm-hmm.
Like he's not supposed to act. Like the entire problem for me with that scene was that her talking to him was fine, and she could have played it where like, oh, he agrees to everything, and raise that suspicion, like considering what you said in the Senate, like it's weird that you're agreeing to these things, and play it that way. But instead she decided to reveal to him essentially what she knows,
Yeah.
which makes sense if that was the play she wanted to make. But I feel like it was too early to do, because at
Mm-hmm.
this point of the episode all she has is one clone saying it, and like
Yeah.
she doesn't have anything else to go off. She has not found anything, she doesn't have any leads, and just somebody told her something, and now she's like confronting this apparently very
Well,
dangerous
that's the thing.
person
Like, it's
with
a
it,
really
like
easy way to
face
just
to
get
face.
yourself. It's a really easy way to just get yourself killed, right? Like, it's
Exactly, but that's my
yeah.
point, that like when she like openly said that, like
Mm-hmm.
she didn't say it in straight words, but like she basically told him that she knows.
Mm-hmm.
That was like a very weird play to me, because it doesn't sound like somebody uh who knows politics well, to
Who's
put it that way.
experienced?
Like yeah, it didn't seem like a strategic decision.
Yeah.
It seemed more like an emotional one.
Yeah. Yeah. And
and
that
and
and
I want to put the disclaimer, I can see somebody like say Leia doing that,
Mhm.
because she's like that. She's like very like stubborn kind of person, and like she would say that to your face even if she doesn't have proof right now.
Mhm.
But she doesn't seem like that kind of person.
Yeah. Yeah. It's one of those things where if this was a different show, or even if this, you know what, like if this was a different show, or if this show was focused on this aspect of things, this is the kind of character that would be dead. I feel like
Yeah.
this is the kind of character that you set up as someone who wants to help, that wants to do things, and you take that darker route where she dies as a result of that,
I thought
and
she was gonna die
yeah,
actually,
yeah, and I
unironically.
kind of feel like she deserves to, like in a sense, like if you're going this dark, and if there's this much like conspiracy, or if these things are happening, and if there's as much weight on this as there is, then I feel like she's like an easy target, and I feel like she will not last long in this kind of like quote unquote like Game
There's
of Thrones like environment, right?
Yeah,
Um,
there's even more. There's even more, because specifically the person who told her about the whole Camino thing,
mhm.
she told like he told her that everybody who has spoke up against it is either missing or dead,
Yeah,
and she still goes and says that
yeah, yeah, yeah,
without her bodyguards
yeah,
there.
yeah.
Like I was like, she has no insurance, nothing.
Yeah, yeah. It's you know what it reminds me of, actually, and this is why I brought up Game of Thrones. It reminds you've seen this because you saw the first season. Remember when Ned? But it was different because he had insurance. He thought he did. Remember he made a deal with Littlefinger, and he got the city guard on his side when he found proof that that's Robert he had a son, and
Hmm.
that Joffrey wasn't his, and that Joffrey would
Yeah.
have no claim to the throne. And he confronted Cersei about it, and then and there's like this big moment, this big confrontation, and then bam, you find out that Littlefinger betrayed him, and then the city guard are against him, and they capture him, right? Like it reminds you of that scene where, like, again, if like there needed to have been a reason why she'd be that confident, and the reason why Leia would work there is because I feel like she'd have more backing, right? Like she has influence, she has power in the Senate. You don't get that impression from Chi-Chi that she has much going for her there.
I don't know if it's power or just like a more personality trait. Where like, because I'm going off like Leia in like part 4 movies where you know, the scenes where like she talks directly to Vader, directly to any Imperial, and she will say to their face that what she thinks about them, like that kind of person. But she doesn't seem like that. At least she doesn't have the, how do I put it? No, you know what, backing, but not in the sense, but like I remember Leia was sure that they wouldn't like kill her or something because she was like part of like representative,
exactly.
she was a
That's what
senator,
I mean.
this and that. But like she had like, it's not so much like backing like, you know, army power or something, but like because of like,
it's one of those things where like if they kill her, then people will know. Like that sort of thing, right? Like people would know, people take notice, and action would occur.
And it would have its consequences.
Exactly. Whereas you don't get that feeling with Chi-Chi. You don't get the feeling that anyone would care. Like it's just you don't get that vibe, because you don't get the feeling that she has other senators that are like backing her or that are working with her, or that she has this kind of relationship. Obviously they show Senator Organa, but like even then it was like more kind of like it was more like he was trying to figure out like what was going on. He was
and he literally just gave her a warning. It was like, be careful, because with the game you're getting into is dangerous.
So he wasn't even giving her any protection or anything like that either. Like he was not like siding.
He was just
her.
like,
he was just vibe checking what was going on. Yeah, he was, like, that's pretty much happened. So,
I honestly thought that when he was like pulling her over, he was like willing to work with her, but instead it's just like, just so you know, this is kind of scary, and he just moves on.
Yeah. It was it was a weird decision. We'll see if they do more with this senator character, but again, I personally, as you were kind of alluding to, I don't like that they're making this character as like naive and as young, as inexperienced, and as idealistic as they are. I feel like there's less place for this kind of character in this kind of story, and it can be more frustrating than anything, right? It can be very frustrating to see a character like this when given the story that's being told.
I mean,
I feel a little bit
funny. The hair being so like inexperienced and like more like emotional than I think makes it relate even more to Omega.
True.
They're gonna make her like an Omega mirror.
No, but the difference is that Omega's growing as a character, and this is someone that we have had no chance to grow. Is the issue, which is why I mentioned that ideally you introduce this character sooner, and then you build them up to this point. You don't just throw them into this section of the story.
I agree. Like that's kind of the same way we were saying that like she doesn't feel like she has the backing because we basically know nothing about her, right? Like we know she has 2 guards, and that's all the information we get essentially. Yeah. But also I wanted to say that like something that was emphasized in like previous stories was that Omega is very tactical. That's like the kind of thing. I wonder if that also relates to like political tactical. If they're gonna somehow relate it where like the 2 of them interact and like Omega is able to navigate those situations better for whatever reason.
True. Do you think the reason why they made her so young and they made her sound Kiwi is so they can interact with each other eventually?
Yes, so they can relate to each other.
God damn it. Maybe, yeah, maybe.
They're gonna be like sisters.
That might be what happens. Maybe she impersonates her and puts on blue face. Maybe. Oh no. Something that I didn't like as a decision that was made for the story was Senator Organa. You kind of mentioned it before, how he's supposed to be more strategic or supposed to be more in the shadows or meant to like hide your power level sort of thing, where you're especially this early on in the Empire, right? You keep your head down and you like, behind the scenes, that's when you start to like form, resistance groups and the rebellion and all this stuff, right? Because eventually we know that he does that. I feel like it doesn't make much sense for this early on for him to be so outspoken. I didn't like that he also joined the conversation of the Senate. I would have loved it so much more if he just stood by and watched, just to observe what was going on, just to see what was happening, just to like feel out like the vibes of like where people are, and like the direction of where like this conversation and where the other senators are kind of like leaning towards and stuff, because that would make more sense with what happened at the end, where he shows up to speak to her, and as you said, right, like he didn't like side with her, he didn't like offer her protection or any kind of help or anything. He just he like gave her a little bit of advice and then like moved on, right? Like it's very like disconnected. It's very impersonal. I would have appreciated that to be constant throughout the episode, instead of him being a little bit more vocal and forefront during the Senate meeting, and then having this.
I mean, it makes sense for him to talk in the Senate, because that was kind of what we were told that he has been doing all these years, that he's been advocating in the Senate for certain things. So that part aligns with it, but again, as we were talking about before, like that secret meeting with her seemed a bit weird, because you meet in a secret place just to tell her, there's a rebellion, by the way, be careful, and then you just
well, that's why you do one or the other. You do one or the other. Either this early on you have him not be like public and vocal about these things, and have him like kind of observe things more and take a bit more of a back seat before eventually taking like a more like central role. Or you do the opposite. You have him be vocal, and then you have him even publicly like advocate for her and form some kind of relationship to start giving her even some kind of like political like favor, or some support in some kind of way, right?
I would say maybe that would be a bit far to like actually openly work with her, but I do think I would like it more if he was more vocal, and instead just like watch what is happening with like other senators, instead of like directly meeting with her like in the shadows.
Exactly. It's one or the other, right? Like it's just so yeah, here they did a bit of both, and that gives some like conflicting feelings as to what's going on.
The only reason why you would meet up with her secretly, and I say secretly while the guards know about the meeting and everything, you don't know if the guards aren't gonna leak anything, but you meet with her in secret, and the only reason I can see for that is either getting information, which he really didn't, or you want to invite her. Like he could be like,
exactly.
we need people like you, kind of thing.
Yeah.
But then I think about it, and considering what we just said about how she's inexperienced and emotional, like, do you really want that to be part of your like very beginner like hidden organization? Probably not, because she's probably gonna just say everything.
Yeah,
like,
but then why then why even talk to her, right?
But then why approach her, right? Why approach her?
Yeah. So yeah, it was an odd decision to use Organa in this way here. Eventually, of course, again, Rex saves Chuchi from the assassin, captures the assassin. You find out the assassin is another clone. You don't get their name, and in the end,
they don't have any.
Yeah, and then they kill themselves. They end up killing themselves. It does say something cryptic about
he's a believer.
Yeah, he's like a believer in what? I would imagine he's talking about the Emperor. I would imagine like this is in reference to the Emperor and to like Sith and stuff like that. That would make the most sense. To be continued. But we'll find out more, I guess, later on.
I did find it kind of funny that they used the same thing that they did in Mandalorian. The whole like crackling thing.
Yeah.
Because I think I don't know which one came first, but I think Mandalorian was the first time we saw that.
Yeah, I can't remember if they
in Star Wars.
I can't remember if they ever had like the whole cyanide stuff. I want to say that maybe it was in Clone Wars, maybe at some point. I can't recall.
I don't think it was in Clone Wars.
Maybe not. But yeah, and then the episode ends. You find out, of course, that Rex is there, and apparently Rex is one. Apparently he didn't know about Kamino. right? Because he was asking, he was like, I didn't know what was going on. I'm here to find out. He was going to tell me. So apparently he wasn't necessarily fully aware of that.
That's I don't buy that.
Yeah, it was a weird line when he said that. It was really weird. Where,
Like I
where
feel like Rex is more informed than that.
he should be more informed, but apparently he's helping people get away. He's helping people escape. Again, I thought it was going to be Cody. That would make more sense to save Rex a little bit later, but they decided to show him here, and yeah, we'll see. We'll see how it all comes together and how it connects. I would imagine that the Bad Batch come to Coruscant towards the end. That's the only way to connect everything, right? Is that they eventually come to Coruscant, maybe, or maybe to help Crosshairs, maybe to say like it's. I think it's still a little bit too vague. It's so hard to know exactly where all this is going to go.
How they're gonna connect the two.
Yeah. So hard to say.
But again, we do appreciate that the topic is like brought up at all. Like even though like they do speed through things and like there are definitely things that could be improved. Like overall, it's a nice story to have. Like from the perspective of like what's been happening in the, I don't want to say country. It's not exactly a country, but like in the empire itself, and like how things have been going, more from the side of the clones and from the sides of like politics of the entire thing.
Yeah, like we've been criticizing this definitely, but I feel like a lot of our criticisms just kind of stem and are rooted in just how quickly we're going through this, because we want more of this, or we want this fleshed out. We want this story fleshed out. We want to see more of this.
Better developed.
Yeah, and it's a shame that we're not, right? It's a shame that I feel like this trend is going to continue, where we spoke about it previously. Well, I would say we theorized whether it would happen or not, whether it's like every couple of episodes we get an update, and we thought it was going to be an update with Crosshairs, but it looks like it's every couple of episodes we get an update with the clones, just period, like just clones and a section of the clones.
I feel like it's less update with clones and more update with Rampart.
Yeah, maybe, yeah. Sure.
Like I feel like we're following Rampart more than the clones themselves.
Well, that's the connective tissue there. That's what's connecting it all, I guess. And yeah, we'll see how that story concludes. I enjoy like this side of Bad Batch a lot, probably more than the main cast right now. As I think these two are some of my favorite episodes so far. But we'll see how it all connects towards the end. As you alluded to at the beginning, it's going to be a little bit difficult to get there, especially because we're already halfway through the season. So if we're gonna start like changing the tone or start to get more serious, it has to happen soon if we want to meet these two stories. If we want to merge them, like we're gonna have to start that soon when it comes to the Bad Batch. So we'll see if they start to kind of ramp up when it comes to like their own adventures and where that goes. Because I think we spoke about that last time. Right now, like it feels like their story is a little bit aimless. Right, it feels like they don't really have too much direction right now, and they need that soon. They need some kind of direction to kind of like push their story forward.
Also, I think the reason why we enjoyed these episodes, I don't know, because episode 3 is not exactly that, but it's more like it's less like main story and more world building. Essentially,
yeah, it is world building. Yeah,
which is always interesting because again, I always bring that argument whenever someone is focusing like too much on the Jedi or this thing or that thing or the Sith or something. Like this is a big galaxy. There are a lot of stories to be there. Like it's a whole world that can be fleshed out in various directions.
We're gonna go full red letter media and go full rich, where his big thing is that Star Wars is very shallow and
because of Jedi, because everything can be solved by Jedi.
Yeah, because the Jedi is so popular, it's so hard to resist just making them a part of the story because it sells, because it's popular, and that takes away from potentially exploring other aspects of the universe.
No, that's not what he says, though.
Well, he says it in a different way, but sure, yeah.
He says it way stronger, where he's like, and no problem in Star Wars makes sense because everything can be solved by a Jedi.
Yeah.
That's his stance.
Yeah, it's his stance is a little bit more extreme, of course, but yeah.
To be clear, I do like Jedi as a concept. Like I look, the whole Force thing is very interesting. As like I generally like the themes of like, I don't know, the live stream and stuff, like things that are connected to the universe the characters are in, and like that's something that they can like feel through them. So like whatever, like I like the entire concept, but not everything has to be about this specific group.
Mm-hmm.
And this is also something that I mentioned a lot. I really like stories about like third-party force users that are neither Jedi nor Sith, because it's interesting to just see like the different sides of this universe instead of just like the main two conflict, whatever.
Yeah, and that's one of the reasons why we've been enjoying something like Rebels or The Bad Batch or The Mandalorian even as well. That doesn't by any means mean that if Jedi involved, that can't be interesting. Ahsoka had more issues than that. I'd like to believe that we were able to express the issues that Ahsoka had, of course, and you can make an interesting story with Jedi. You can make an interesting story with the Force. But you know what?
Rebels has Jedi.
Yeah, true, and you need some good writers for that, and you know, unfortunately, sometimes these shows don't have good writers. But so far, again, we've been enjoying, for the most part, Bad Batch Season 2. We're reaching that halfway mark, and we'll see how the next half treats us. We'll see how they can piece it all together. Because it's not going to be easy. No, it's not going to be easy.
Yeah, I am really curious how they're going to manage, because so far they almost couldn't be more far apart in the tone. I just don't see how they bring these two together.
Yeah, I mean, I can definitely I can definitely see it. It just depends on specifically what the Bad Batch, what the group's story is going to be, because as I mentioned, like right now they're a little bit aimless, right now that there's no like real direction for them. They need to get a direction first, and then we can go from there.
Well,
but we'll see.
Last we caught up with them, like there was the entire thing where like they had to change their plan, to put it that way, because it was like, as they say, it was a matter of time before the place Sid runs is like taken over by the Empire.
Yeah.
So I guess that will be the catalyst for whatever happens later.
Yeah, we'll see. We shall see. When eventually they have a conflict with the Empire. But otherwise, thanks for watching, everyone. Thank you so much for watching. Thanks for watching support. Again, one of the better episodes, I would say. Obviously, there was a lot to critique, but that's only because like we wanted a little bit more out of this. And
yeah, but this was I think I would put it like on second place this season so far. Like episode 3 is still the best one.
Yep.
But this is a second place.
I would probably do this second place as well. I say probably because there were some other nice, like the first two episodes were nice in their own way as well. But yeah, I think this is probably second best episode so far. I agree. Second only to, again, I'll be honest, I said it before, I think they peaked too soon. I think episode 3,
I don't think they can beat episode 3.
I don't think they're gonna beat episode 3, even the season finale. I don't think they can do it. Like it was too good.
It's too good. It's very rare that I watch an episode and I am positively speechless. Okay?
Yeah, we said at the time, like I was like, damn, like I had no words. That was the reaction. Like episode 3 was like, again, the only criticism that I had was that again they progressed too quickly with Cody and with everything that happened. Like it felt like it was too soon. We peaked too soon. It was too good. Just calm down. God damn it.
No, but that's why it would make even more sense if it was towards the finale, right? Because it was like a big thing.
Yeah, it should have been. But you know what? Maybe they surprise us with another episode 3 later on.
Hey, we didn't expect this episode. So,
true.
Hey.
True. I mean, kind of. Like I was expecting to see. I mean, to be fair, again, I was expecting to see an update with Crosshairs. I'm sure we will eventually. But yeah, it was a nice episode, and I'm sure we'll be catching up with the clones in another couple of episodes as well. Of course, it was 4 episodes since episode 3, so maybe every 4. It's hard to say. We'll see how often this does happen. If it ramps up even as well. But otherwise, we're going to be wrapping up here. We'll be back next time with episode 8.
Indeed. Bye.
Ciao.